SBS advises that the following program includes scenes of surgery.
It's 5:30 a.m. and I'm in Lae, Papua New Guinea, at the airstrip once famous for Amelia Earhart's final takeoff. I'm joining the country's only helicopter medevac service, Manalos Aviation, for a critical rescue mission.
Female, 35 years old, with severe acute abdomen pain. I feel appendicitis.
A message has come from a village in PNG's mountainous highlands. Leading today's mission is pilot Jürgen Rue.
We got the message last night, was a person who climbed the mountain, and then they told them to carry the patient to the coast, so I hope to get there very soon before they start carrying the patient.
And how much time will we spend on the ground?
Normally it's scoop and go, 6 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on what the nurses are going to tell me. Crosby, the Charlie uniform, has departed Lae. I'm on medevac for Mubo.
Papua New Guinea is home to about 11 million people, but there are just under 500 doctors. It's one of the lowest doctor-to-population ratios in the world.
Yes, Mubo just ahead of us now.
Out here, there is next to no medical care available. And this helicopter service is a crucial lifeline.
Mubo village has no roads or phone reception, so the team have no direct contact with the patient. They have to first get on the ground to find her.
She was here, and they carried her by stretcher. They walked all the way down to the coast.
It appears they've already started a long journey to the coast. We don't know exactly where they are, so we're going to need to keep an eye out from the air to see if we can find them and pick them up.
In acute pain, the patient has started a long journey to the nearest hospital, a 2-day hike away. They're now somewhere in these mountains.
I'll sing out, okay. This one, yeah. They carried the patient last night because they had no hope of, no confirmation, no hope of the helicopter coming. They carried the patient along the river, up the hill. Wasn't really safe to land there, so they heard us landing here and they bring the patient here now.
Woo, they're calling.
What is that sound that we can hear?
So they are making signal that we are here. So woo, it's like coming. They're calling for the patient and the people to come.
The patient is now too sick to walk, so her helpers have fashioned a bush stretcher.
Mama, alivim kam ya. Manalos kam. Okay. Here we go. Yo lian blomi. Lian blomi. Oh, you call there. You call there.
Her name is Lucy. She looks weak, and they don't know what's wrong with her.
Wait, lab. Put there. She's shaking.
Head nurse Audrey Towler must get her in the air as quickly as possible.
Okay, here we go. Let's go. 4 plus strong plaman.
Ja.
Oh, no, 2 plus strong plaman. Plakam, karang. One more. One more. One more.
After assessing her vitals, she's given an IV drip and oxygen. Without the Medivac team, none of this would be possible.
How long have you been without a nurse or a doctor?
3 years.
How are you managing without one?
All bipla heavy or some Mama Karim or one this plakain. And bipla saya use manpower lo Karim. But a lot of kind of some skin hot malaria na one me bipla sapa. Bipla sapa. Bipla non of Karim this plago. What? Doko se bipla film sem. Why na government making bipla suffer for 3 years? Because bipla people the government.
To address the lack of healthcare in the bush, the government here has pledged that by the end of the decade, everyone should be able to reach medical help by foot, boat, vehicle or plane within 1 hour. But at the moment, for patients like Lucy, Manalos Aviation is their only fast way to get to hospital.
So how many helicopters do you have all up?
Well, we've got 4 operational. One of them.
Jürgen Rüh's helicopter service is the only dedicated operation of its kind in the country.
Nobody else has stepped up and doing it to the extent that we are doing it. We've got the aircraft dedicated. We aim to depart within 7 minutes of getting the go-ahead for a flight.
In the context of PNG, how crucial is it to have a Medivac service like this?
Well, if you wouldn't have it, there are lots of people who would lose their lives. A lot of children grow up without their mothers because their mothers died during childbirth. So it's crucial.
Jürgen was born in Germany, but he's lived in PNG for 43 years. Together with his team, he's conducted over 3,000 rescues, mostly pregnant mothers.
We are still a developing nation with substantial developing challenges. And that will stay that way for some time. I can't see us getting out of being a developing nation with developing challenges.
In your opinion, what is the state of PNG's healthcare system today?
Chaotic. I don't think I don't know if you can call it healthcare. It is defunct in multiple layers. So it's from top to bottom, it's defunct. There's a shortage of medicine which doesn't come through. Hospitals order medicines or outstation order medicines. They get half of it probably supplied 7 months later. We even have some recently built health posts and they're closed because they got no health workers there. You'd be shocked probably to see where we are today, and we've gone backwards.
This might be an obvious question, but are people dying unnecessarily right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and even here in hospitals. Absolutely, not only rural PNG, but here in hospitals as well.
Back with our rescue patient, Lucy. She might now be at hospital, but she's yet to be seen by medical staff.
I said, can I hand over to you? And he said, no, you'll have to wait for the morning staff to come on. Yeah.
Eventually, the hospital staff check Lucy in, but she's not actually treated.
I'm call ya. Hola mama sa sercho papa ini mo lorot ya.
Thank you very much.
So after all of the rush this morning to evacuate the patient, we've now arrived here at the hospital and it feels like we've hit a massive speed bump. There's not much happening now.
To better understand the nature of PNG's healthcare crisis, I'm heading back to Lucy's village. The majority of PNG's population live in small, scattered villages like this.
Good morning. We've come back.
Among the crowd, I'm met by Lucy's mother and children.
Which ones are Lucy's kids?
This was here.
These ones?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. And so you're minding all the kids while Lucy's in hospital. Big job.
The closest health centre is a 16-kilometre hike from here, and then an additional boat ride to a hospital.
So this is Lucy's house?
Yes.
And you are Lucy's family?
Yes, I'm Lucy, me and my brother Blem. Cousin brother Blem.
Okay.
Alex helped carry Lucy to the helicopter. He says they might not have had to leave if there was a doctor in the village.
Time mo pilim slam sick no one bla. And we don't know one bla doctor so no one bla marasin suffer for 1 week.
Has anyone passed away or died in the community because there wasn't a doctor here or there wasn't medicine?
Yes, lo place plenty will die finish na lo samla case mi bla sa karin ogo lo road go 5 la die kama finish on the way na.
Are you worried about Lucy's condition?
Yes. I'm sick name go am sam. Or pigini to stay am da lugol am da sore lol ba. Os am plenty family stuff so am place so family look lol na mami blolem.
It hasn't always been this way. This was once a functioning aid post. It's supposed to be the first rung of PNG's healthcare system, with a health worker and basic medicines. But it's been abandoned.
Lo one bla 3 years mi bla suffer stop. I'm run down 8 posts over there. So now we mi bla desperate sre do need one bla.
Essential services here would have included maternal and child health checks, immunisations, and the treatment of infectious diseases.
What kind of medicines would have been here?
All malaria medicine, all painkiller. At mi bla need him straight to them. All TB supply, plenty line we time TB plenty line TB kilim all finish le.
Across PNG, only 37% of aid posts are open, with over half of them closed in the last 5 years, according to the Health Department. It says a lack of money, staff and infrastructure issues are to blame.
So now I maybe need him one doctor straight local them. On the good sick too maybe need local so maybe two staff but no what government service to me no come. Maybe staff na look by them hard.
Medivac pilot Jürgen Ruh says the crisis isn't confined to small aid posts. Even rural hospitals across the country are under stress.
So we're heading to Etep now. We're going over the Sarawak Ranges. We have to go over 10,000 feet. Etep is on the other side.
This view is pretty incredible.
Look at the terrain. Huh?
This Lutheran mission hosts something rare out here, a functioning hospital in the bush.
Hello.
Hi.
This is Bradley, James. This
Nice
is
to meet
Khaled
you, Bradley.
Nice to meet you.
From SPS Dateline.
Yes.
Bradley has been the CEO of this hospital for many years.
We provide maternal
Bradley runs the
services,
place with pride,
basic medical
but he's
drugs and
facing acute
consumables.
shortages
That's
in
our
vital
pharmacy.
medicines.
Okay, so this is our pharmacy. So here we have commonly used drugs
Those are basically antibiotics, but we don't receive them based on a supply and demand.
The amount of antibiotics that you have here, how long is that enough to last you? And is it enough for the number of people in the community?
So this drug is enough for the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and then we'll run out again.
That seems scary.
Yeah. It's dangerous, I would say.
In the hot tropics, infections can be deadly. Without antibiotics, simple injuries risk sepsis and people can die.
She got maybe inflammation, susul, tapos yan.
Even a broken leg could become a big problem.
I'm alright. I'm just like, okay, may butissiman.
How does it feel right now to be the CEO of this health facility, given everything that you're up against?
Yeah, for me individually, that's a quite stressful place to be in right now. But mostly it's heartbreaking to see our local people who should be getting help from their doorstep, but it's made difficult for them with the current situation.
It seems to me that there is a epic failure of the health ministry, of PNG's leadership when it comes to their healthcare system. Does it feel like that? What do you say to that?
It's a difficult question to answer, especially for a local, because it has backlashes coming with how I respond to it. If I say something that's beyond my level, then it could cost my employment, yeah.
And could it cost the funding of this facility?
Yeah, definitely.
The lack of doctors and medicines in remote outposts is having enormous consequences for the few hospitals in PNG's urban centres. Lae is PNG's second largest city, and its hospital the biggest in the province. When you can't get medical care in the bush, you come here. Outside the emergency department, patients are sleeping on the ground. Among them, I'm surprised to find Lucy, our Medivac case. When we last saw her, she was inside on a bed.
How are you doing, Lucy? How are you feeling? Pain?
Yes.
And you're outside now?
Yes. I'm in the toilet.
It's been 3 days since we last saw you. What's happened since we left you?
I put the drip on me. Orang similap, nami go inside another room can, or go seki bel blomi, pilim bel blomi, nal talk babi go X-ray.
Have the doctors told you what's wrong with you? What's wrong?
Sorry? You don't have a permission.
We have permission from the CEO.
I want to see a video. Where's your letter of permission?
Lucy still doesn't know what's wrong with her. And we don't get to find out as our interview comes to an abrupt end.
So we've just been shut down. We had all the permissions from the hospital, including from its CEO. They say it's an administration issue, but I get the feeling that it's more the optics of their emergency department that is the problem here.
The hospital, however, is one of the better ones in the country, benefiting from $248 million from the Australian government, which is PNG's largest donor and funds half of all foreign aid here. But frontline workers say they're not seeing this money. And nowhere is this more stark than at the biggest and most important hospital in the country, Port Moresby General.
Emergency department. This is the waiting area where patients come in and wait to be triaged. From here,
Dr. Esther Apuahe was PNG's first female surgeon, becoming one of only 3 neurosurgeons in the entire country. She says they don't have the funds to function properly, and they're straining under the patient load.
Along the corridor, you can see a lot of patients.
It's incredibly crowded.
Crowded, yes.
Is this a normal day here?
It's a normal day here, and it's usually for 7 days, you could say.
Wow. People are on the floor here.
We have lots of patients around. No bed space is our biggest issue here.
They also lack essential equipment. The hospital hasn't even been able to perform basic blood pathology tests for months.
If there's no medicine, there's no equipment to diagnose them, then the care is not there for the cases.
Sweetheart, we've given you some medicine, so you might feel a little bit weird, okay? You're safe.
A little nervous, but I'm happy.
Thanks for having us. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
The bottlenecks extend to the operating theatres, where a team of volunteer Australian neurosurgeons are helping to clear a backlog of the most complicated brain and spine surgeries.
So the biggest challenge is just some of the equipment deficiencies. So you'll ask for instruments that you just take for granted will be there.
Just how dangerous is it, performing these operations with those limitations?
Yeah, it certainly can be dangerous and it can be risky.
So the team are operating right now without crucial neuro-navigating equipment, which would normally allow them to visualize the tumour and its exact location in the brain. So in effect, right now, they're flying blind.
This is more important brain tissue because it's left temporal lobe. So it's important for things like speech and executive thought processes, things like insight, judgment.
This patient is lucky to have had her brain tumour removed.
Everything went well.
Many others are not so fortunate.
And it all goes back to funding. Funding is what is not available readily to cater or to make sure that the patients are treated on time, satisfactory standards and all this.
Dr. Esther Apuahe is also an executive member of the country's peak medical society.
The Prime Minister has said that funding for healthcare is actually at record levels. Why are you not seeing any of that money?
What you're saying is true. We've seen an increase in the budget this year for drugs. But it's a question that every health worker is asking. Where does that money translate in terms of the service delivery that we are offering to patients? So we also wonder where the money is going to. I actually don't have any idea where this.
Is corruption an issue?
Corruption is an issue everywhere in PNG, yes. And you cannot say that corruption is not present in health. It is, yeah.
In Papua New Guinea, almost 1.3 billion Australian dollars may be lost to corruption every year, according to PNG's Anti-Corruption Commission. And there are serious concerns about missing money in the healthcare sector.
Hi, Minister.
Thank you for coming.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you for this time.
Thank you.
Elias Kapavore is the country's health minister.
Whilst filming, we've spoken to healthcare providers from urban settings to rural settings, from the top to the bottom,
and they detail things like medicine and equipment shortages, a lack of staff, hospital overcrowding, missing funds, closed aid posts in rural settings. This is a healthcare system in crisis, isn't it?
Definitely, to my assessment, we are building the system. We're fully aware of what our systems are. There's a lot of weaknesses out there, but so long as we have a clear policy direction on what must happen for health, I'm very positive that we continue to see some improvement in the next coming years.
Multiple inquiries and reports have found and identified severe financial mismanagement and a risk of corruption in the healthcare system. So do you acknowledge that corruption is a big problem?
If there's any corruption, I don't think there's a serious level of corruption in the health sector.
Minister, you've served in the healthcare system here in the provincial level. You must be aware that these issues are severe.
If I know of some corruption matters, we have a system in place for the police to prosecute.
Whilst funding remains a big problem, back at Menelaus Aviation, Medivac pilot Jürgen Ruh is having trouble simply getting paid.
Many of the medics we are doing, or some of them, we still get paid 5 years later. Normally it's probably a year.
How much money are you owed by the PNG government?
My system shows me a total outstanding overall of 14 million kina, but 90% of that is government.
That's about 4.5 million Australian dollars. And yet you're still accepting Medivacs?
Absolutely.
Why?
Yeah. Well, I just can't say no, I guess, to help someone.
He has some advice for PNG's health department, punctuated by a blackout.
I'd like everyone to actually acknowledge that we have a problem, accept that we have a problem. People will say I'm dragging the hospitals under the bus or the health system under the bus. Well, I'm trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to drag them away from the bus and hope that awareness of the problems, acceptance of the problem will lead to improvement.
Until this can happen, Papuans will continue to go without. Back at Angau Hospital, we're finally granted permission to film, and our rescue patient Lucy is still outside.
Hasta Lucy mi plan nago, nami plan stop before, nami plan come inside. I come sleep inside. Night long I'm not give marasin mami. I mixing a dream all night.
One can see or
One not talking me.
So the doctors haven't given you a diagnosis yet?
Yes, I'm not talking yet.
It must be very difficult to be out here. How does it feel to sleep out here?
I must come sleep logo pla bed. I must stop logo pla bed. Nak simarasin ang bago pla.